Alrighty then. Hello, everybody. Damn, it's been a long time since I've recorded anything at all. This is the Alex Cuesta Show. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate everybody out there that decided to take some time out of their day, their evening, whenever they're listening to this, to press play and listen. Before we get into fun stuff, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, especially if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, because I think that's the only place you can give 5-star ratings. And if you like what you hear, spread this word of mouth. Let everybody know it's your new favorite show. Even if it isn't, just fucking lie. But socials, go search the Alex Cuesta Show wherever you find social media. We shall be there. And again, if we're not there, let us know. We'll get there. Today is Thursday, March 31st, 2022. If anyone is an astute listener of the show, you might be like, oh, hey, he gave the date. Why did he give the date on the Alex Cuesta Show? This isn't the Daily Show. Haha. There's some programming notes changing here. So first, I'm going to say hello to the one that's always here for the Alex Cuesta Show, my brother, David Cuesta. Hey, Dave.
Hi. How you doing? I'm doing pretty well.
It's been a little bit. We didn't do a show last week with me and you. This one got pushed back to Thursday, and I have not recorded anything since last Friday. I've had a roller coaster of a time of it. Since last Friday, I'll go over real quick. My oldest daughter decided it was a good idea to get a stomach bug. Obviously not decide that, but she started to get sick. Full disclaimer, I took her out to Chuck E. Cheese at a birthday party. So it was like, honestly, a hope that all it was the Chuck E. Cheese didn't agree with her. Of course, our luck, that wasn't the case. So she got a stomach bug. It then went down to my one almost 2-year-old who, my older one handled it much better. She stood by the garbage. She threw up in there every time she had to throw up. It was a miserable night. My wife goes to work the next day. I'm home. It's a weekend. And my little one is now throwing up. I am holding her arms like a straitjacket with one arm, trying to hold the bucket up to her face with the other as she's screaming at me and throwing up, going, no. So it was a great time. And then, of course, it traveled on to me and my wife. We suffered through it. All in all, I am finally feeling myself. And this whole trial and tribulation started on Saturday. And it has just been one giant stomach bug. So I apologize to anybody who listens faithfully that they haven't heard anything from me in a while. But I'm here. I'm back. More than likely, you'll get like 4 shows in a row and then I'll disappear again because that's exactly what I do. But on top of that, there are some other programming notes that I just want to go over before we do all the other fun jazz. First, again, if you're an astute listener, you were hearing that the Alex Cuesta Show was going on Sundays. I was doing the dailies, 5 of them there. That ain't happening. From now on, wherever the Alex Cuesta Show fits is going to go, the dailies are going to work around it. So basically, you're going to get 5 days of shows. You're not getting 6 because it's not easy to record 2 shows in one night. I record these in the evening, and that kind of sucks. So you're going to get that. Another note, Positivity Mondays aren't necessarily gone, but they're not going to be forced because as fucked up as it is really hard to find positive news. It is extremely difficult to find. And I'm not talking like partisan positive, like, me being on the right, like, oh, this is great for people on the right, so it's positive. Or, oh, someone really hugged that tree hard for the leftists. So no, it's not like partisan positive. It's something we can all agree on. Like, fireman saves a young girl from burning building as she jumps. Like, I guess if you're a morbid bastard, that's not positive, but positive in that sense were things we can all agree on. So when I find the positive article, I'll fit it in on a Monday. I'll slot it in. I'll talk about it. And talking about the dailies, the content is now going to get varied. If you've been listening to this show, you've noticed Dave and I have not strictly just stayed on politics. We've branched out. We did free agency. We talked about God a little bit. We've done a little bit of everything here. And that's kind of what you're going to get on the Daily Show as well. I'm still going to do my politics, still going to read some articles, but I'm going to mix in sports. I'm going to mix in some pop culture because, frankly, just talking politics all the time is goddamn depressing because the world is pretty depressing. And when you're looking at it through a lens of, just one point of view, I guess, because I do share one point of view. I'm not a leftist. It's difficult to kind of break down and kind of see what I see as wrong all the time going on and calling it out. So that's what's going on there. Dave, anything you want to add to any of the changes, anything that you feel that can be changed better? Give some constructive criticism without being a dick. I know it's a lot to ask.
No, I refuse. No, I mean, it's just useful to branch off into different things, especially because of how depressing politics is. Whether or not you're coming at it from the one perspective, I think most people see how depressing it is, especially now. But yeah, it's useful to branch off, and it's useful to just have various topics to talk about.
Yep, certainly is. So one thing I am carrying over from the Daily Show is the Biden COVID tracker. Since he has refused, and the administration, or the regime, as I like to call them, have refused to lower this into endemic level, but regardless of everything indicating that it is an endemic, I'm just going to now give you the number of cases and deaths for that day. I'm not going to go through my long drivel where I give you the plus minus, even though there is never a minus, but the plus of how many are there. I'm going to give you the numbers flat out. You do what you want with them. So today is the 31st. It's the last day of March. Cases are at 80,019,128. Deaths are at 978,648. So the numbers are sitting where they are. And I want to remind everyone that when Joe Biden took office on January 20th, we started with 24,496,018 cases and 401,823 deaths. So do what you want with those numbers, but until we get this back down to an endemic, I'm not going to stop reporting on the numbers because we need to hold this man accountable. So with that being said, we have some fun content for you today on the show. David actually is the one that, like I've said in the past, he's the one that decides most of our topics because he's significantly more interesting than I am in a lot of ways. So he's able to decide things, and he's more decisive. If you can't tell, I've changed this fucking show like 30 times, but he's a little more decisive with things. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is groomer schools. Now, a little introduction into this. When people hear groomer schools, they automatically think of the LGBTQ stuff going on. They think of the stupid dubbed Don't Say Gay bill, which is the Parental Rights in Education bill from Florida. If you don't know what that is, or if you're under a rock, or you still want to call it the Don't Say Gay bill, number one, you're fucking stupid. Number two, go listen to episode 41 of The Daily Show, where I actually read the 7-page bill. 7 pages, not super legal jargony, and tell you about it. But that's where a lot of people go when they hear groomer schools. And now Dave wants to just let everybody know that it isn't all about the pedophiles. Believe me, there are a ton that we're finding out. There's a lot more pedophiles than we ever knew, but it is not only about the pedophiles. Dave, what do you want to say about groomer schools here?
Yeah, I mean, it was just mainly just a quick thing about grooming in general. When you hear someone talk about someone grooming someone else, usually an adult grooming a kid, it's the grooming means that they are raising them, they are building them into something that they want. It is an objective thing that they want this kid to grow up to be. Just the way I put it is just think of royalty and think of a king and queen. They want their son to grow up to take over the royal throne. And so they're going to groom him to be a good prince, a good noble, and eventually a good king. That's the best way I can put it, really. And that's why it's not. And anytime you hear someone use the term groomer schools, I mean, maybe they are using it just for pedophiles. I don't know. But most of the time, I think if they're using it as the teachers in there right now. For some reason, it seems like in way more schools than you would think, seem to want to glom onto kids and steer them towards a specific ideological position, not teach them how to think, but teach them what to think. And that's why that's why people are saying groomer schools. It's the same thing as if there was a teacher in there that specifically tried to steer them towards the Catholic or Christian religion. You are grooming them to become a Christian if you are doing that. It's the same exact thing. It's just for this one, there's a lot more pushback because certain activists know what they're doing when they do this pushback, but a lot of people fall for it because there is a sense of empathy there, and people, like I brought up before, people in the past firmly stood on that Republicans and conservatives were evil people that just didn't want anything gay in schools. So they believe that is still happening. It's like they don't think any progress has been made at all. And they're not, whether they didn't read the bill or they don't even care, they just read that certain section, which says no kind of sexual ideology being taught, which means straight as well. But they take it as more of a dog whistle to just mean gay, because for them, especially in the framework now, straight is supposed to be the normal. That's how they'll put it every single time. Straight is the normal, and that's why we push to gay. When in actuality, at least to me, if it's all normal, you don't push anything. And that's basically what the Florida bill is saying.
Yeah. And, to just double down with the Florida bill, it's only limiting the teaching in K through third. So at your lowest age, 4 years old, at your highest age, 9. I'm giving it it's usually 5 to 8, but you can have youngers and olders depending on how loose the laws are when it starts there. Mm-hmm. So what they're saying is they're not even saying that, and a lot of people are taking it saying, I'm a gay teacher, I can't talk about my lifestyle. If a kid has 2 moms, they can't say it. And that's not true at all. They're saying that you can't formally teach sexual identity, sexual orientation, and gender identity, period, to those grades. And so what it's saying is too, and what I find the most fucked up is that you're saying that a 9-year-old in 4th grade is geared to start learning about this shit. That's what you're saying. And to me, that's even way too young. Mm-hmm. And they do couch it by saying what's age appropriate as determined by the state. Now, if you're going with Florida, who knows what they're going to determine as age appropriate? Maybe they might determine that, okay, in 4th grade, you can teach that there are 2 different biological sexes and that there's a few more genders if that's what they want to teach. If they want to teach that, there are trans people and gay people that exist. Floor, done. That's it. That's all you can say. You can't go further into that. But who knows where they want to go? But all it is prohibiting is those age groups from learning about it, being taught it formally. They're not prohibiting a teacher from using an anecdote in their own personal life with their own partner if they're gay. They're not prohibiting a student who is this doesn't happen unless it's forced and unless it's taught to them. But if there is a 3rd grade student that may be questioning, it's not stopping them from going to that teacher and using them as a mentor. It's not stopping them from going to a counselor. It's not stopping any of this stuff. But like Dave said, there's activists that know what they're doing. And I brought it up before and I'll bring it up again. And I don't get anything from bringing this up. I have no relationship with James Lindsay or New Discourses. But if you want to learn about this, there is a great 3-part series on New Discourses podcast by James Lindsay called Groomer Schools. And he goes through all of this and the activism and what is going on in the schools in order to groom your kids. And it's not just sexual. It is a larger form of the wokeism. It is the critical theories. It is a Marxist move. And it follows a guy, Paulo Freire, who I believe is Brazilian. He's a South American guy, and he's the one that brought this, that brought this over into education. I think Henry Giroux is the one in America that brought Paulo Freire into America. And this is now in the 50s, 60s that this was going on, 70s, one of those times. But it's been festering. I think it's the 70s because it's been going on for about 50 years is what I think James constantly says. So I think it's the 70s that this ideology was brought into our schools. And as early as the 90s, they were writing papers on social justice and activism and LGBTQ and all this type of stuff as early as the 1990s, talking in this way. And now we're here in the 2020s. And, 20 teens. And that's when it really started to rear its head everywhere and make it more mainstream. So there's a lot that goes into grooming. I agree with David. If you don't take the king route, you can talk about military schools is another thing. You send your kid to military school to groom them to stop being a douche. Like that's kind of how that works. Mm-hmm. But yes, when you hear the term grooming in this context, currently, it is probably used for the pedophilic, the LGBTQ and the pedophile language. But, if you are somebody that believes in the way me and David believe and believe that this type of shit is wrong, most likely if you listen to the show, you probably agree with us if you're still listening. But one thing you'll notice, if you're active on social media, the left has now latched onto the word groomer. And they're trying to say that the word groomer is, just another term from the right because they're scared of X. And they're trying to equate it to critical race theory. And that they're trying to say, basically, they beat the critical race theory boogeyman, which they didn't. And because it's gotten pushed back and pushed back and pushed back in every single public school, and every single time it's been challenged in a public arena, critical race theory is lost. And it is going to, and it's the same way with this groomer mentality and bringing in trans activism and learning about gender identity at an early age. That is also going to lose and get pushed out. It's just that you have to know what you're talking about. You have to understand what people are saying when they say these things. And you also can't get discouraged when they tell you you're a bigot, you're a transphobe, you're this and that, because that you're going to get called that if you stand firm against this type of shit. So, Dave, that's what I have to say about that. Do you have anything more to add?
No, I think that really rounds it out. At least that's what I want to talk about for now on that. I didn't want to go on a lengthy kind of discussion.
Yeah, because we could go on probably for a while about that. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get into our next topic. And I have one more I'm throwing on at the end. It's a quick one, Dave. So it's a quick one at the end. But this main one here is something that's been talked about by everybody, but we're going to bring it up because it is polarizing. And I think it's kind of culturally important to talk about something like this. So I'm calling it the slap heard around the world, at least a slap heard around the nation.
People are calling it that, I will say.
Yeah. So just a quick introduction for the 13
of you that needs introduction.
The 13 people that actually watched the Oscars that saw this happen live. The rest of us saw it on videos afterwards, and it's the only reason the Oscars are interesting. But Chris Rock was doing what Chris Rock does. He was being a comedian, and he was standing up, and he has hosted the Oscars before. So he's very used to doing what the host does and coming up and doing a roast. Now, mind you, David, didn't this Oscars do a smorgasbord host and not have one
he wasn't even a host. He was just presenting
right?
for Best Documentary. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do a legitimate host, did they?
Yeah. No, they had 3 hosts. They had Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and Regina Hall, I believe.
So they didn't have a host, right?
Basically. Yeah.
So they suck. So Chris Rock was presenting, but being a former host, he understands, and a stand-up comedian, he understands you kind of go up there, you fuck around, you make fun of the people in the crowd a little bit. Mm-hmm. And Chris Rock is great at that. He's a very funny comedian. I've laughed at a lot of the shit he's done. He goes up there and he makes his jokes. And one of the jokes is directed at Jada Pinkett Smith, who noticeably, and what's funny is the media on the left act like people are supposed to fucking know anything about Jada Pinkett Smith besides the fact that she's a hoe. But she's bald. And Chris Rock makes a joke and says, hey, when's the next, she's getting ready for G.I. Jane 2. The most, I think, not even that offensive, because G.I. Jane's a badass bitch. Like, she's actually a military commando that kills a ton of people and is important in a war. So it's like, it's not even that offensive, but makes the joke. The crowd laughs. Will Smith visibly laughs. And then, Will Smith, Chris Rock does his thing. He's like, it's mild. It's a G.I. Jane joke. And then Will Smith starts to make his way up to the stage. And at this point, I don't think anyone kind of knows what's going on if you're watching it.
No one knew.
No one knew what was going to happen if you're watching. No one knew if he was going to go up there and say something because, who knows what their relationship is. He goes up there and he just walls off and gives him a fucking slap. And it was a pretty good one. People were like, oh, it was soft. Now it was a pretty good slap. Chris Rock actually has some cojones and could take a hit. The man took a hit in stride. And then Will Smith promptly walked back to his chair, did his whole entire concussion Will Smith face, and was like, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. And said it twice, screamed at the top of his lungs like a gigantic fucking child in the middle of one of the most prestigious events in Hollywood where they all circle jerk and suck each other's dicks. And that's how it happened. And Chris Rock was kind of like, definitely held back some entanglement jokes. You could see it was on the tip of his tongue to make fun of Will and Jada more, but he was professional, kept going, presented. And then that was, and then everything else happened. Now, Dave, there's the argument, staged or real. Where do you stand on that? Staged or real?
Hearing the arguments from both sides, I'm leaning real for multiple reasons. Now, I understand the argument from stage saying if this doesn't happen, the Oscars doesn't get any ratings at all, really, which I understand that completely. But the thing is, honestly, maybe Will Smith, you could say, is a good enough actor, could kind of pull that off. Chris Rock is not a good enough actor to pull off the way he reacted towards it, the way he didn't even seem like he knew it was coming. Like, I don't think Chris Rock is anywhere near the actor to do what he did, like to just do that. And also, Hollywood wouldn't be able to write something that entertaining recently. I'm not going to lie to you. I completely agree with that point. They simply cannot do it. I just named 3 hosts. They cannot do it. So that, and just the complete tension in the air afterwards, like there was something really off about that moment. And honestly, Will kind of exhibited just all of like the emotions of an actual broken man. I don't, like I said, he might be able to do that well enough as an actor. He is a good actor, but there's something about it that seemed way too real. I wouldn't be surprised if it was staged. I would not be. But knowing the history between the Smith marriage, I got to lean real here.
Yeah, I want it to be real because I want Will Smith to be in up-teen amounts of pain for being a pussy in more ways than one now. Because number one, getting publicly humiliated like that, the way Jada has put him through, banging men half their age and putting it out there for everyone to know, that's embarrassing, especially when you're Will Smith. Like, it's not like you need Jada. It's not like Tom needs Giselle in order to continue to live the bazillionaire's life. Jada needs Will. Will is the big money there, so he don't need her. So that's number one. And on top of that, if it is real, to have that type of reaction to a joke when he himself is a comedian is bitch made. It is absolutely bitch made. And I want to believe that Will Smith isn't that bitch made. Now, one of the reasons I do think it's staged, you mentioned Chris Rock. You don't think he's that good of an actor. He's been around Hollywood for better part of 2 decades. I think that if they practiced it enough incognito, there is absolutely a way, and you can, I guess there's always a slow motion angles and people looking and this and that. I mean, he didn't even prepare for like a joking confrontation. Like, he just kind of sat there and ready to take it. And on top of that, Dave, you mentioned about the ratings. That is my biggest thing. This is not below the Academy to do something fucking stupid like this and try and play it up like it's real, because they suck. The show is bad. Nobody cares. Nobody watches. So we're still talking about it 4 days later.
So it's not below the Academy to do that. I agree. But I do think it is below both Will Smith and Chris Rock to do that.
I don't at all.
I do.
I don't know. I think because
they don't need it. They don't need it. The Academy needs it. They don't need it at all.
But the Smiths also have some making up to do with the Academy if they want to stay invited. Because
they consistently get invited. Jada not only has Will Smith by the balls
in 2016.
She not only has Will Smith by the balls, she has the Academy by the balls. So why do you think that nothing would happen? Nothing. Will Smith could have gone up there and actually TKO'd Chris Rock and the whole ground and pound. They wouldn't have thrown him out. I don't even think they would have actually walked up to get him out.
Apparently, they asked him to leave and he refused, and that was.
I heard that was not true. I heard the Academy actually lied about that, but there's more to come out about that, and I feel like there's more to discuss whether this is real or staged or not.
Do you think he should lose his Oscar?
No.
I agree. I don't think he should lose it at all. He won the award before the incident.
Yes. I've taken this stance on other things that have happened to the people's past and the awards they've won. I'm going to take the same stance here. He won for his merit in that movie. He didn't win because he slapped Chris Rock. Like, that's the whole thing. And while it is egregious in that forum to do that, it's like going up and slapping someone, obviously it's just a stain on your reputation, really. I don't even care about staining the Oscars. Like, what is there to stain?
Now,
but
what do you feel about the people who are happy he did it and are like, he defended his woman?
They're ridiculous.
And this and that, and so, that's what a man should do.
Okay. So the problem is I haven't read this book, and I cannot remember the name of it, but I know it talks about different cultures, and depending on socioeconomic status, you go through different cultures. But I'm going to butcher this if anyone actually knows what I'm talking about here, so I'm sorry. But it has something to do with honor culture. There is something that I can't remember who it was that wrote the book. This is awful. But based on honor culture, there is the thought of it's like, if you've seen all like the trad people on Twitter, or traditional people on Twitter, because they're on that side as well. There is something to be like, oh, you're defending your wife's honor by doing that. Now, being more of a liberal minded person in that sense, it just seems ridiculous because it is a mild joke and it meant nothing. It meant nothing. I don't know if Chris Rock even knew that Jada had alopecia. I don't even think he knew. So that's another thing.
And can we stop calling it alopecia? Can we stop? It's fucking being bald. Where everyone's sitting there going alopecia, and I get it. It's a thing. And, and I first heard of alopecia probably now. I got to be 10 years ago now because I'm old. But one of my friends from college got out and all of a sudden he had no hair, no eyebrows. And we're like, whoa. And he had alopecia. And that's kind of the more severe version of it. That's kind of the more, that's what Jada's going through. But male pattern baldness is male pattern alopecia. There's different. Alopecia is just the medical term for baldness.
Yeah. I understand that. But just because people want to pour this on of like, oh, Jada's dealing with that and you don't know what her and Will went through with that. So him making a joke about that is just, some people equate it to violence because that's how we like to do it nowadays because we don't like making any actual arguments. But they equate it to violence, and that's part of the reason why they kind of defend Will, saying that it was almost deserving, the slap, or even some say it was deserving. But the thing is that it's completely based off of just defending your wife's honor. And maybe in a vacuum, you have an argument. Let's say none of the context of the Smith marriage. I'm just complete benefit of doubt. Maybe in a vacuum, you have some type of argument, and we can actually have a conversation on that. But knowing the backstory of the Smith marriage and knowing how broken Will has already looked as a man when in public conversations with her, and that already speaks to why you should never do something like that.
Don't sit front row at the Oscars. When you sit front row at the Oscars, you are fair game. And it's not like Jada is just Will's wife. She is also an actress. She is also an accomplished actress. So you are all fair game to a comedian standing up there. Man, Ricky Gervais flat out said every single person in that room is a pedophile. And not a one of them did anything to the man. And he made fun of everyone brutally a few years ago. And not a one said a single word in the negative to Ricky Gervais. So I don't buy that. I don't buy this defend your woman. Here's the thing. If somebody grabs your woman, you whoop their ass. You whoop their ass. If they touch your woman, you whoop their ass. If you are doing something over words, you are a weak-minded individual and you deserve no respect. And if Will Smith is that weak-minded, which maybe he is, because he's letting a hoe stay by his side, and I will continue to call her a hoe because that is what she is. But that's, I guess I don't want to see Will Smith as that much of a pussy. Like, honestly, maybe it's because I respect Will Smith enough for his acting acumen and all that. And there isn't a Will Smith movie I won't give a shot. I heard, as bad as I heard After Earth was, I still gave it a shot. And Jaden's bad. Will Smith is still a good actor. His son just can't act for shit. So I don't know. It's, I still want to think it's staged. With all that being said,
part of it's because you want to believe it's staged because you don't want to believe Will is that broken of a person.
It does not matter if the comedian standing up there in any way, shape, or form knows the medical history. It doesn't. You are fair game. Comedy's supposed to be fair game. I don't care if they're in a room of Holocaust survivors and they joke about Hitler killing Jews. If it's funny, if it is a well presented joke, I guarantee those Holocaust survivors will laugh. If it is a well set and presented joke, which is why Will laughed initially, because it was a well set up and a well delivered joke. He only stopped laughing when Jada gave him the eyes. And that was when he flipped the script. But
again,
who knows if they all weren't in on it?
No,
they might have been in on it.
No, I just don't believe that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just don't believe that. There's a lot of things you can I can believe that is not one of them. At least not right now.
Okay.
But that's the whole thing. And I do want to jump off Will and Jada, even though one is completely broken and one almost seems kind of evil.
Well, everyone jumps on Jada, so it doesn't make a difference.
That's true. But I do want to talk about Chris Rock, how damn professional he was. His reputation should have skyrocketed from this. People, obviously we live in clown world, so people are dogging on him. Some people are dogging on him, but his reputation to at least normies should skyrocket, because I think normies still see that and they're like, what the hell is happening here? So, and I know his tickets went through the goddamn roof from that. And just the way he acted after, in fact, I think in one of the pictures, you can kind of see he has a little bit of a fist balled up. I think he was kind of ready to throw a little bit.
Oh, so, once he got hit, his fist was ready to go. I
think he was.
The Bed-Stuy came right the fuck out in him in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but and then he even said, right after it, you kind of hear him go, I could.
Yeah, and that's when he was ready to say more.
Yeah, but he didn't. And he just went on with the show. And to have the restraint to do that is ridiculously impressive.
Especially when it's staged. But so an observation with Chris Rock that I made, which Chris Rock, I've always seen him as the scrawny dude, right? He's always been like the scrawny, swaggly, funny guy. Will and him standing next to each other, Chris Rock is not a small man. He was basically the same size as Will. And the same, they had now I don't know if Will lost some weight for King Richard to look a little more, but at the same time, Chris didn't look much smaller than Will at all, if not the same size, which credit to Chris Rock that maybe he's been hitting the gym, but I've always thought of Chris Rock being kind of similar to Kevin Hart, just tiny, scrawny, like Dave Chappelle before he got jacked and did steroids, tiny, scrawny. But no, Chris Rock was and he stood there and he took it. He took the stage slap like a man, but like you said, it did look like he was ready to act some type of way. I heard some people go, though, and here's another reason why it may have been staged. How did Will Smith not get mobbed the fuck up by Chris Rock's people afterward? How? I don't care who you are, what happens. Your boys go. You always have entourages. They all have entourages. And honestly, I saw a funny picture of the grown-ups, the people like Adam Sandler, Kevin. It was they all came out and supported him in some sort of way. And it was if they were all in that room, you best believe Will Smith was coming out limping. Because I don't know. They definitely seem like the type. I think Adam Sandler's the type to throw down with anybody. He looks like that dude that he would at least give a shot. I don't know if he'd win, but he would try.
I don't know. Maybe. It's
a weird situation. It really is. It's bizarre, but it did its job. We are talking about the stupid fucking Academy Awards on Thursday.
Yeah, it's funny though, because they're not talking about any of the winnings.
Which is sad though, because there was one nice story of Lady Gaga helping Liza Minnelli through her set when she was clearly kind of a little lost because she's going through some things. And you heard Gaga on a slight audio, I got you, and Liza Minnelli saying thank you and keeping Liza Minnelli's dignity, because Gaga was the perfect presenter from working with Tony Bennett the last 5 years. But just a great story like that completely overshadowed because Will Smith.
I'm not going to lie. Still don't care about that. But the thing is,
story, you fucking heartless bastard.
Still, the thing is that, you could say, oh, we're still talking about it, but we're not talking about literally anything good about it. All press is good is completely wrong.
Why? That's what we go for here.
You get tanked from actual bad press. You get tanked when people are going to watch the clips from this. A lot of them stolen clips from this. Let's recognize that. We're going to watch the clips from this and they're going to say, wow, I mean, I'm not going to watch it next year, but maybe something else will come out so that I can watch as a clip. They're still not going to watch it next year. It's still the same pretentious people. Yeah.
Lots of great memes coming from
no
this.
doubt. And I love them. but it's still going to be the same pretentious people trying to push the same pretentious stuff that they have no idea what they're talking about outside of their bubble. In fact, honestly, the slap is the closest thing that came out of bubble, and that's why people actually watched it.
So I'll say this, if you're the Academy or any award shows going forward, all you are allowed to have is gigantic athletes, WWE wrestlers, and MMA and boxers presenting. Because you best believe no bitch ass actor is going to walk up to one of them. Could you imagine Canelo Alvarez presenting and saying a joke like that? Will Smith walked right up to him. He would walk right the fuck back.
Oh, 100%.
Or, oh my God, Conor McGregor has to host, and Colby Covington have to host every single award show for the rest of existence.
That would be ridiculous.
Could you imagine how great those would be? Who would hit them? Nobody. Get two-piece the fuck up in 2 seconds. It's a safe. Keeps all presenters safe. It makes all jokes allowed.
Just have Francis Ngannou up there, just standing there, not even saying anything.
Or all retired MMA fighters like GSP going up there, barely fucking legible, and he'll just present everything. All right, Dave, you can close it out.
Yeah, just the whole thing is that I want people to recognize that you are kind of stupid if you're going after Chris Rock and if you're actually defending the actions of Will Smith. I'm not going to lie to you. There is a time to defend your wife. That wasn't defending your wife. In fact, that was actually completely capitulating to your wife's feckless demands. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you here, because especially if you laugh at first, you see your wife give you an eye and you don't even try to talk to her. You go up and you actually assault someone for her like that. That ain't defending your wife, my guy. I'm not going to lie to you. And you're not even keeping her happy, because you obviously haven't. She already talked how bad you are in the bedroom. So that's the thing. You're not keeping her happy. You're not keeping yourself happy. Just listen to the way he screamed that afterwards. There are tears in his voice. He didn't even want to do it. He didn't want to do it. But he did it because he's trying to keep someone who he cannot keep happy for no reason at all. And that's the end. I didn't think I would get that passionate about it, but I did. I'm sorry. You
did. I love it. For a staged event, you did really good. Anyway, we're going to jump on to our last quick topic. We haven't talked in a while, but since we've last talked, Kyrie Irving is now allowed to play in all games, home and away. Mayor Adams completely proves that he's the worst politician in the history of the Americas right now, and a giant hypocrite by only lifting the private vaccine mandate for entertainers and for athletes, showing that this is all about money, all about control, nothing to do with health. Let's not talk about Mayor Adams. He's a fucking idiot. We've talked about that guy before. He's actually the worst politician in the country. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are better than Mayor Adams, even though Joe Biden's walking us into World War III. But how do you feel about Kyrie? We're going to stay with sports. Fuck Mayor Adams. How do you feel about Kyrie being able to play?
I like it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to stay off that. And it's not even about Adams. It's about the people defending the mandate at this point. If you're still defending the mandate, honestly, and I'm going to curse, you can go fuck yourself. I do not care. If you're still defending the mandate, please take a step back and fuck your own face. Word up to Tropic Thunder. Now, because you have to understand how hypocritical this is. And if you cannot witness this with your own eyes and actually speak out against it at this fucking point, then what is your use in any of your beliefs? Okay, now going on from there, I'm very happy to see Kyrie play. Kyrie, I don't remember if we said this on a podcast, but I know we've said it in discussion. Kyrie is something similar to AI with the handles that he has and the way he can break people down. He's always very fun to watch. He's incredibly fun to watch, and he gives his Nets basketball team just an incredibly good scoring option at any time he's on the court. And as a good point guard does, he's still able to find people pretty damn well on the court as well. But that's my whole spiel on that. Really, there isn't much more to say. Kyrie Irving is Kyrie Irving, just like Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. You know what you're going to get from them. You know how they're going to lift the team. Honestly, the story more for me is not even Mayor Adams doing this, because Mayor Adams is going to do what you allow him to do. And I'm sick and tired of people just allowing this to happen. Stop it. Stop being so goddamn weak.
Now, Dave, does this go on the you get what you voted for thing? Bunch of these morons voted for Mayor Adams. They believed that he was going to be different than any other Northeast Democrat. And they get what they deserve when he's fucking killing small businesses actively.
The thing is, you do get what you voted for, but just because you voted for something doesn't mean you just say, oh, I voted for it. They can do whatever the hell they want. That's not how it works. You still have control in things, guys. You still have the ability to do things as much as you want to not believe that because you don't want to actually put any work in. So stop that. I get what you voted for, but nah, that's not the kind of idea you need to be running on.
And here's my advice for the businesses. Stop listening. And if you're a cop that enforces that, your whole entire force should turn against you. Cops don't enforce bullshit. Businesses don't listen to bullshit. And we have problem solved here. But we're too weak-minded in this country. And especially in our cities have been trained to be weak-minded, and they are following through like the happy little sheep that they are and just complaining about it because it's so mean. On that happy note, though, Dave, do you have anything else to add before we close out?
No, I said my piece.
David got passionate. Passionate David is a good day. We returned to Passionate David. Great fucking day. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Alex Quest, the show. I hope the changes that are going to occur are just going to enhance the show. If you like what you heard, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars. Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Say that passionate David turns you on, tickles your pickle, makes you feel sexy. And if you want to follow us on socials, the Alex Quest Show, go find it anywhere. Just go search that and you'll find it wherever you are. So I will talk to everybody hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully I don't get a freak stomach bug or something again, but hopefully tomorrow with the Daily Show, I will be here and I will talk to everybody later. So long, y'all.